Hello everyone and welcome back to She Stitchin'. This is Melanie. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. We are going to be working on this wheat field stitch that you see here. This pattern is part of our Just Another Crochet Along series, but if you just want to learn this stitch, this would be a great place to do it. So you can see it here that I worked up as the square for the crochet along. And so in order to make it match the other squares, I did it with a size 5 hook. And that's using our size 4 yarn in the Caron 1 pound. So this is the taupe color. The color that I'll be using today during the tutorial is light sage. And before we get started, I just wanted to show you what it looks like with a couple different yarn types. So this is a size 3 ombre yarn that I used. It's Lime brand. It's the ice cream color line, and this is the lemon meringue color. So that's with a size 3 yarn, and I used a 4.25 hook, and it's really pretty in that ombre yarn. And then here I did it in 2 colors, and this is using Caron Simply Soft. And this is an amazing stitch to do in 2 colors. And if you want to know how to do post stitches and regular stitches in 2 different colors, I have a different video that has this as the thumbnail, and it'll show you how I work that out. If you guys have a lot of questions about that, just put the questions down below, and I will eventually make another video. And then I also did it in a size 10 thread. You can see here, the puff stitches are kind of hard to do with that size 10 thread, but here it is. And also, you notice here, I have started joining these together. So the next video I publish will be how to join the squares together for the crochet along, if that's what you're doing. So go ahead and start out with a starting chain of 31 if you're doing the crochet along with us. Now, if you're not, I just wanted to say a few things about like the multiple. So normally in my videos, I'll give you the multiple of how many stitches you need to make it bigger, but this is a really versatile stitch. So this is actually a triangle shawl that I made for my mom for Mother's Day, and you can see here on the pattern we're going to be doing today, I just have 3 rows of the V-puff stitches, but here I have 4 rows, so that's definitely something you can change about the pattern. Also here you can see in our background of our vertical post stitches, I only have 2 post stitches here. Whereas today we're going to be using 3, so that's also something you can change. The V-puff stitches themselves take up 5 stitches, and then everything else, the puff stitches or the post stitches, are just 1 per 1. So it just depends how many you want. So I would try to learn the pattern a little bit, and then do the math on how you want to make it bigger. So this is the triangle shawl, and you can kind of see the bottom of the triangle, and then how I added in more little wheat shafts as we went up. So anyways, all right, let's get started. Okay, so here we have our starting chain of 31 stitches, or 31 chains. The first row is going to be pretty easy, but I do want to warn you that in order to do this pattern, I recommend that you're already comfortable doing post stitches and puff stitches. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do puff stitches, so I'm going to go over that for sure. And I will break it down slowly and show you how to do the post stitches in this video, but it might get a little bit tricky if you've never done them before. So I do recommend, I have an intro to post stitches video that you can do. Also, this will help you. When I was making this, I kind of broke the concepts up in this stitch into the 2 different things. So that's why we have the raised harvest stitch and which has the puff stitches and the post stitches. And then this is how to get the cables to move. So that's kind of why I broke it up like that. So if you're getting a little bit confused on this, that would be a great place to go. Also, the written pattern will be available on my blog with photos after each row and on some of the specialty stitches, the parts that are confusing, to make sure that you have everything you need. So make sure to check the description below where I have the link to that written tutorial. It might take me a little bit to get that up, so if you're watching this video within the first day of it being published, that might not be completely up yet. Alright, so what we're going to do, this got a little bit pulled tight, is we're going to skip, oops, so I've used this yarn a couple times, so the twist isn't that great anymore, but that's just because of me using it so many times. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to skip this first stitch this first back bump, and we're going to go into the next back bump with just a single crochet. I like to crochet into the back bumps because I think it gives me a better base for the pattern. All right, so we're going to start off with 7 single crochets, and that's the American term. So we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull loop through, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to do 7 of these. So that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 and skip 1. And that is where we're going to end up placing the puff stitches. I like to do that in the bottom so that there's enough room for all of the yarn to be fitting under there. If you try to cram all of that into a single crochet, it's going to get really stretched out. I do talk about that a lot in the raised harvest stitch, if you're curious as to why I'm doing that. So we chain 1, skip 1, and then what we're going to do is 9 single crochets. So you can see there we have that skip space and the chain, and then we're going to do 9 single crochets. So I'll meet you at the end of 9 because we don't need to do those on screen. Okay, so far we have the 7 single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, 9 single crochet, and then we're going to chain 1 and skip 1. And then we're going to end with 12 single crochets at the end. So as you can see in the background here, this is like an offset stitch. That's why the base to this is not, you know, symmetrical or anything like that, because the stitches are offset. Also, you'll notice this brown pattern in the back. It starts with at the bottom of where the post stitches come together, but then I decided it would be easier for most people to start with the row of puff stitches first. So it's not going to look like this, it's going to look like these two. Just because we're starting at a different part of the motif to make it a little bit easier to start, and also that way we get a complete set at the top, whereas I only had one set of the puff stitches at the top. So hopefully that makes it all better. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video today just because the sets are offset, so the rows are a while apart. It is a pretty easy stitch to do once you get going, but it does have a longer repeat. So be prepared for that. But I think it's really pretty once you get going. All right, so here we are at the end of row 1. Okay. So it's kind of hard to see because the yarn's kind of puffy, but here's our chain 1, skip 1. So you should have two parts where you chain 1, skip 1. All right, let's turn it over and get started. All right, let's get started on row 2. So for row 2, we're actually going to be working what is the back side of the work. So you can see how I hid my colors there. You can refer to my other video if you're interested in doing 2 colors, but we'll focus, I guess, on this one. So what we're going to do first is a chainless standing double crochet here on the end. So I've been teaching this in all of my videos, so I don't want to spend too much time, but I will do it slowly and talk about it as I go. You can substitute this with a chain 3 if you can't get the great hang of it, okay? But I think it's worth learning. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull up the loop so it's nice and loose to the height of what our normal double crochets are. And then you're going to use your pointer finger and hold the tension down. And then you're going to wrap it down and under so that it looks like you have a yarn over on your hook. And make sure you're holding your pressure down with your pointer finger. Then you're going to go to the first front loop and back loop of the row below and loop it through both of those loops. Then you're going to yarn over, pull the loops through. Now it looks like we have 3 loops on. So you're going to keep that tension with your pointer finger and then yarn over and pull through 2. There you go, and you can let go, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through the last 2. And that looks basically like a double crochet, and you don't have to worry about a word turning stitch. And that is how I normally do my edges so that they stay nice and with no gaps and that kind of stuff. No gaps and no bulges on the edge. Next, we're going to do a double crochet. So like I said, you can So let's just do a double crochet. And this is the first one I'm doing on screen, so I try to remember to do that slow. So we're gonna do the American double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop back through, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So if you don't like the chainless knitting double crochet, you can just do chain 3, and I'll include a link in the bio to the tutorial from Moogly. She's the one that created that stitch, and it works amazing. So if you need more of a breakdown, you can go ahead and go to that link. So what we have is a chainless knitting double crochet or a chain 3, and then a double crochet, and then what we're going to do is chain 1. So now we're going to do the first puff stitch, and you can see here in our sample that the puff stitch needs to be leaning away from these two stitches, and that's why we have that chain space. Now what we're going to do is the puff stitch. So there's a few different ways to do it, and this is how we are doing it today. So yarn over, and we're going to insert our hook into the same stitch that we just used. So right here we're going to go in the same thing as that double crochet, and then you're going to yarn over and pull loop through, and then you have 3 loops on, and pull it up to like a normal height. Then you're going to yarn over again, insert your hook into the same spot, yarn over in the back, and pull that loop back through, and then you have 5 loops on. So we're going to keep doing that until we have 9 loops on. So we're going to yarn over again, insert into the same spot, yarn over in the back, pull it through, and now we have 7 loops on. And to the last time, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over in the back, pull that loop through. So now we have 9 loops on our hook. Then you're going to want to pull it like that a little bit just to make sure they're all spread out nicely and have the same length. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 9 of the loops. Now I got lucky, and also because these boy hooks are so good, it pulled through all of those loops. If you have problems getting it through, you might need to kind of shimmy your hook a little bit like that to get it to come through. All right, and then we're always going to close these puffs with a chain. And that just closes them up, seals them off, and keeps them from separating, okay? And then now what we're going to do is we're going to skip these 2 next stitches. So make sure that you don't skip too many stitches because of how big this puff stitch has become. So just go ahead and count out 2, 1, 2, and we're going to skip, and we're going to go into this third. And it might help you to count from the bottom. These are the 2 that we already used, and then the 2 that we're skipping, and then we go into the next one. Because it gets so bulgy, you got to make sure that you're skipping 2 and then going to the next. And we're going to do 6 double crochets. So let's go ahead and do 6 of those. 1, 2, 3. So right now what we're doing is setting up the first set of, I'm just going to call them vines for the rest of the pattern, or cables. I'll probably say the same thing. So we're setting up that first section of cables. So the cables are always going to stay together in groups of 3. So you can see here we have 6. So we have the first group and the second group. And then later they will split, but they're not going to split yet. So just wanted you to know they're always going to be in sets of 3. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to start our next double crochet. So the way that we have the pattern set up, we're going to skip to that open chain space, and we're going to do the V puff stitch. So this time we're going to do a single puff stitch. So let's go ahead and do that. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop through. We have 3 loops on. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop through. We have 5 loops on. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop through. We've got 7 loops on. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop back through. Did I say loop? Hoop. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loops on our hook. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 9. And then we close it with a chain. So that's the first puff stitch of the V puff stitch. So V puff stitch are always going to have the whole puff stitch, including that chain, and then we're going to put an extra chain in the middle so that the puff stitches tilt away from each other, and then we're going to do another puff stitch exactly the same as the previous one into that same step. So let's go ahead and do this. Before I get started, I'm going to say if I'm going a little bit too fast for you, YouTube has a feature where you can slow me down. So there's 3 little dots in the corner, and you can click on those 3 little dots and adjust the speed. And if I'm going too slow, you can also speed me up. Just wanted to make sure you knew that. All right, so let's go ahead with another puff stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull the loop through. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull it through. Yarn over, pull it back through. We've got 7 loops on. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull it back through. So now we've got 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to yarn over, pull through them all, and there we go. And then we're going to close that with a chain. So remember to always close your puff stitches with a chain. And there we have our first V puff stitch. So now what we're going to do is skip 2. So make sure not that you're skipping 2. So this one here that's kind of hidden, and the next one, and then we're going to go into that 3rd space away. And we're going to do 6 double crochets again. So I'm going to go ahead and stop filming, and you guys can press pause and do your 6 double crochets, and then we'll meet at the other side. Alright, so I just did those 6 double crochet, and then we're going to skip the single crochets and find the next gap open. And we're going to do that V puff stitch again. So I'll do this with you one more time. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop through, that's 1 time. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop 2, that's twice. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull loop through, that's 4 times, or 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, one more time. So the 4th time, yarn over, insert your hook, pull it through. Then you have 9 on, yarn over, pull through all of the stitches, all the loops I mean, and then yarn over, close it with a chain, put another chain in so that they stay apart from each other, so that they lean away, and then go ahead and do another puff stitch. So insert your hook 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Yarn over, pull through. Oh, there we go. Got to rock it a little bit. There we go. There we go. Now you can see on this previous one, I let it be a little bit loose. So if the puff stitches aren't coming out exactly how you want them to be, don't be afraid to go back and redo it. If this was my permanent piece, I would definitely go back and redo that one. But this is just for my sample video, so I won't be doing that. Now at the end, the way I've constructed the board, this pattern, is to always have 2 double crochets on the edge. So it's either going to be a single, or it's going to be 2 double crochets, or a chainless standing double crochet and a double crochet. So we're always going to have those border of 2 on the end. And then we also want to have the 3 for the cables, or the vines. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up with 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So skip the 2, and then do 5 double crochets for the edge of the row. 1, 2. So the first row is a little bit hard because of the counting and learning the stitch, but it's gonna get easier. 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so that's the end of row 2, and that was the wrong side of the work. So now we're going to flip it on over. Let me zoom out a little bit. So you can see we've got the set chainless standing double crochet, puff stitch. And then we've got this, or with the chain in the middle there. Then we got the 6 double crochets and a V post, or a V puff stitch. Then you repeat that with 6 double crochets and a V puff stitch. And then you end with 5 puff stitches, or 5 double crochets. All right, let's go ahead and start with row 3. So we're going to start with the chainless standing double crochet. Let me flip these over so we can kind of see what's going on. So now we're starting up here on this second row with the puffs. We're on the right side of the work again, front side. So we're going to do double crochet, or a chainless standing double crochet again. Pull that up to the height of a double crochet, wrap it around and down, insert your hook, yarn over, pull the loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. There it is. And then the next stitch is also a double crochet. And then what we're going to do is our first front post stitches. So now we're going to do 3 front post stitches. And once from this point on, the post stitches are always going to attach to other post stitches. So you can see that these nice lines that it creates, they never break. So every post stitch is always going to have another post stitch on top of it throughout the rest of the pattern. It might curve, but it's always going to have a post stitch on top of it. All right, so let's go ahead, and for the front post, we're going to insert our hook from the right side, push it behind the whole stump, the whole trunk, the whole post. Go all the way around and come out the other side. Okay, so that's what it looks like from the front. This is what it looks like from the back. You can see we're not going through any loops or anything like that. We're just wrapping all the way around the post. I'm kind of assuming you already know that, but just a little refresher if it's been a while. So then you yarn over and pull it through. And now we've got 3 on, and we're going to finish this off like a normal double crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so we're going to do that again. So we'll have 3 post stitches in a row here, front post stitches. This yarn is getting a little bit splitty because I've used it quite a few times and yarn minded it. All right, so there you can see our 3 post stitches, and they're starting to bubble out, which is what we want. And then we're going to do a V puff stitch, and this is super easy because we're going into this big area here in between our previous puff stitch. So skip all this stuff and go into the hole. And we're going to do a V puff stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull it through. 2 times, 3 times, sorry, 4 times. We've got 9 loops on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yarn over, pull through all 9. Close it with a chain. And then put another chain in there so that they separate from each other. And do another puff stitch. So when you're doing the puff stitches, you can also always count by odd numbers starting after 3. So you can go 3, 5, 7, 9, or you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. So last time I counted 1, 2, 3, 4. This time I'll count 3, 5, 7, 9. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull it back through. 3 on the hook, 5 on the hook, 7 on the hook, 9 on the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just double checking. Yarn over, pull loop through all of the loops. There we go. Close it with a chain. There we go. So now what we're going to do is 6 front post double crochets. So remember, you insert all the way around and then do a normal double crochet. Now when you're doing the post stitches, I recommend pulling up with your hook like this a little bit more than you normally do. So at this point, pull a little bit more up than you normally do. Also at this point, pull a little bit more up than you normally do. And that is to compensate for the extended length that it needs, because you're starting, because this is really the bottom of the stitch instead of up here. So you want to make it a little bit taller than you would a normal double crochet. And if you don't, then it's going to start to wave. So you can see in this one how it's not perfectly straight at the top. The double crochets were a little bit too short. So it could be a lot more significant than that. You can get a curve like this. So if you start to see that curve happening, it's because you're not making these double crochets tall enough. Okay, so go ahead and finish this off with, finish off the 6 double crochets. So we've got 4 more here, then a puff stitch or a V puff stitch, and then another 6 more front post double crochets, and I'll meet you for the end. All right, so you just finished off 6 front post double crochets. And I'm asking you to do a little bit more than normal off screen today, just so that this video doesn't get too long. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do the rest of the half of this little wheat shaft here. So we're going to do a puff stitch in to the top of this double crochet here. So here's our chain listening double crochet, and here's our double crochet. So we're going to do a puff stitch into here. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull loop through 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then yarn over, pull through all 9. And then chain 1 to close it. And then we're going to do another chain after that so that it tilts this way. All right. And then we're going to do a double crochet into that same stitch that we just used so that these 2 double crochets on the edge are always there. Okay, and then another double crochet in the end. There we go. And that's the end of row 3. There we go. So that was working the right side, the front side. Okay, and now we're going to switch over to row 4. So we're going to be working on the back side now. We've got 2 rows of the puff stitches, and now we're going to finish off the 3rd row of this little wheat shaft. So we're going to be closing off the top of these, you'll see. So we're going to start again with that chainless knitting double crochet. So pull it up to the height of a double crochet, wrap it around, keep the tension, put it through both loops, yarn over, pull loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and of course you can replace that with a chain 3. Then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1 so that this next puff stitch tilts away, and then we're going to do that puff stitch into the same stitch here. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop through 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yarn over, pull loop all 9. And close it off with a chain. All right, now what we're going to do, so this row is going to be from here until we get to those last 2 double crochets. This will be all back posts. So this is the back of the work, so we always want to have this little ridge every row to keep those post stitches going all the way up the piece. So when you're doing the back post, we're going to yarn over, because it's a double crochet, right? Yarn over, and we're going to find the gap in between the stitches and then push our hook back through. So from right to left there, you can see I'm going all the way around the stitch. Yarn over and pull the loop up so you have 3 on, and then pull it up a little bit extra high, and then just finish that up like a double crochet. There we go. So that's the back post. So we're going to do 6 of those. I'll do that with you one more time. So yarn over, insert your hook all the way around the stitch, yarn over, pull the loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, so then we're going to do 4 more so that we have 6 total, then a V puff stitch, then 6 back post stitches, then a V post stitch, V puff stitch, and then we're going to finish off with 3 back posts and 2 double crochet. So I'm having you guys do a little bit more, and I'm doing a little bit more off camera today just because this is a really long pattern. I don't want to make the video too long. So go ahead and do that now, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. All right, here is the end of row 4. So we started out with the chainless knitting double crochet, chain 1, puff stitch, 6 back post double crochet, V puff stitch, 6 back post double crochet, V puff stitch, then we have 3 back post double crochet and 2 double crochet on the end. So that's the end of row 4. Now rows 5 and 6 are going to be transition rows, and these rows are going to be closing up the wheat shaft. So now we're kind of at the top here, and we're going to be pulling these cables in. So these next 2 rows will go very quickly because there's no puff stitches, okay? So we're going to be we'll be opening them up or closing them together. All right. So we're right here at the top of this, and we'll be doing 2 rows with no puff stitches. All right. So we're still going to do double crochet heights. So we're going to do chainless knitting double crochet, and then a double crochet after that. So pull it up to the height of a double crochet, wrap it around, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got that double crochet in the end, or a chain 3 if you can't, if you're not comfortable. 3, and then a double crochet. So in order to get this 3 cable stitches starting to go that way, we're going to do a chain 1 here to start to push those away, and then we're going to do 3 front post stitches. So we always do, every post stitch is always going to have another post stitch on top of it. 1, 2, 3. Now, when we get to the V puff stitches on this row, what we're going to do is chain 1, then we're going to single crochet into the middle of the puff stitch, and then we're going to chain, or so finish your single crochet, and then chain 1 again. And then we're going to do the 3 front posts again. So remember in the beginning I said that our puff stitch, or I keep saying puff and post getting mixed up. So we're going to do these 3 post stitches. So if you remember in the beginning, we're always going to keep our post stitches in sets of 3. So now we're at the point with these 3 post stitches, they're going to start to shift away from these other 3 post stitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 in between. So that's going to start to get these this row to lean away from, or these cables to lean away from the other cables, okay? And then we're going to do 3 more front post double crochets. And we're basically going to do that whole thing again. So when we get to this next puff stitch, V puff stitch, oops, we're going to do that same thing that we did last time. So chain 1, single crochet into the middle, and then chain 1. All right, and then what you're going to do next is 3 front post double crochet, chain 1, so we can start to separate those, and then 3 front post double crochet, and I'll meet you for this portion. All right, now, so we just did that 3 front post double crochet, chain 1, 3 front post double crochet, and now to start to close this up right here, we're just going to do 2 chain stitches. And then we're going to end with 2 double crochets in the last 2 stitches. So skip over all of the puff stitch and the chains and do 2 double crochets. So this row goes a lot faster, as you can see. All right, let me grab in there. Unfortunately, I've used this yarn so many times that it's starting to untwist. I've got it wound up into a little cake here. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so now we're going to start row 6. So we're going to be working on the back side again. So that means post stitches again. And then this time we're going to be finishing the transition to get ready to move the puff stitches to the other window space, okay? So we're going to start off with that chainless knitting double crochet again and a double crochet. That's how we'll start every time. One. All right, and then a double crochet. Now in order to get these cable switch stitches to start to curve this way, we're not going to do any chain or anything here. So we're going to skip these 2 chain spaces and just go ahead and start off with 3 back post double crochets here. So we're going to wrap all the way around those. 1, 2, 3. And now we are in the spot where the next, we're going to make now the base of the next V puff stitch. So the base that we're going to use is just going to be chain 1, single crochet into the chain space, and then chain 1. Okay, then we're going to do 3 back post double crochets. So on the previous row, we did the, oops, my yarn split again there. On the previous row, we did the chain 1, single crochet, chain 1 into the puff stitches on the top. And then this time we're doing that into just the chain space. 2 and 3. And then on this one, when we get to the top here, to the top of the wheat shaft here, what we're going to do is we're just going to chain 1 and then go ahead and do 3 more back post double crochets, and that's to close off the edge, or to you know, make that a slower change so it's not very crooked or so, something like that. Okay, so then go ahead and do that again. So when you get to this chain space here, 1 more double crochet or back post double crochet. There we go, we've got 3 of them. What we're going to do into the chain spaces is chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. Then we'll do 3 more back post double crochets and then a chain 1, and then 3 more back post double crochets, and then a chain 2 for that last one where we're going to add that puff stitch. So I'll meet you right before we get to the end. Okay, so what we just did off camera was chain 1, single crochet, chain 1 into that chain 1 space, then 3 back post double crochets, chain 1, 3 more back post double crochets. And then I said chain 2, but you can also just do a chain 1. So it just depends on how tight you're crocheting, but you can do either a chain 1 or a chain 2 here, depending on how much you want those to curve, okay? So you can see sometimes if you just do a chain 1, like right here, it might start to slant in. So just go ahead and do whatever you think is necessary to get you over here to get that straight edge on the side. So let's see here. Through this last stitch. There we go. That one single crochet seemed to get me over there. So you might either need 1 or 2 depending on how tight you're crocheting. Okay, so there is the end of row 6. So now we're going to start row 7. So let's go ahead and see it from this front side again. So we're going to we're over here now. We're at this first blue puff stitch here. So now this is going to be similar to how we started it off, okay? So we're going to do chainless knitting double crochet, wrap it around, finish off your double crochet, and then do a double crochet again. And then this time on this side we're going to do the same thing as before and have a puff stitch here in the same spot. So we're going to chain 1 to make it lean away, and then we're going to do the puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, you're probably hearing my kids playing in the background. And then close it with a chain. Then we're going to do 3, actually we're going to do 6 front post double crochets to bring these this set of vines or cables, however you want to think of them. We're going to bring them back together. So I always have to remind myself to pull these post stitches up tile so that they don't so that they grow at the same height as a regular double crochet. So we've got those 3, and then we're going to skip the chain space and do another 3 front posts. All right. Now this is a little bit of a tricky part that we're coming up to here. We're going to be doing our first V puff stitch of this row, and as you can see, it's going to be going in here into the single crochet. Now I'm actually single crochet is like my least favorite stitch. So if you go into this single crochet normally, you're going to be going in right here, and then you're going to have 1 yarn on this side of the hook, and then on the other side of the hook you're going to have 2 in the back, 2 in the front. So you're going to have 4 pieces of yarn on that other side. Now if you do a puff, don't do this. Well, I recommend not doing this. Okay, so if I do a puff stitch in here, I'm not going to do a full puff stitch, but you can see how this whole part right here is not balanced because it's 1 single strand and then 3 strands over here all split up. So what I propose for these, and you don't have to do it if you don't like, but for me it throws it off and it makes it not symmetrical. It drives me nuts. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the waistcoat technique with this single crochet. So that means that I'm going to split the single crochet in half. So before I was saying that it was 1 yarn and then 3 yarns. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to split it 2 yarns and 2 yarns on each side. So the way that you do that is you're going to want to get between these 2 little legs, but I insert my hook like that and then push that yarn there so that it goes to the other side. Let me do that again. So I push this yarn over to the other side and then I pull my loop through. That way there's 2 pieces of yarn on this side and 2 pieces of yarn on the other side, and that just really makes the stitch be a lot more grounded. So it's only a little bit difficult to get it through the first time. Then we're going to go through that again 4 more times. 2, or not 4 more, 4 total. 3 and 4, just a normal puff stitch, right? So we've got 9 on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and then we're going to pull through all 9, close it with a chain, put another chain in there so they lean apart from each other. Okay, and then on this one we're going to go back into that same spot. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop through, 3, 5, 7 loops on, 9 loops on. All right, and then pull through all 9 stitches or loops, and then yarn over, pull it closed with the chain. So basically what that does is it just makes it nice and stable. You can also put it down in here if you want, into that chain space. That's another option if you don't like putting it into that single crochet using the waistcoat technique. Alright, so then what we're going to do here is 6 more front post double crochet. I'll join you again for this puff stitch just to make sure we're doing it the same way. Alright, so I just did those 6 front post double crochet, and now I'm here to do this puff stitch with you again. So I'm going to just kind of use the hook to pull this piece this way, and then I'm going to insert it so that it's between the body of the stitch. So I've got 2 yarn on that side and 2 yarn on this side. From the back you can also see that it's going through there. Let me make that focus there. You can see that it's going through. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces of yarn on that side, 2 pieces of yarn over here on this side, 1 and 2. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, and then we're going to do that puff stitch into there. So yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, insert your hook, 5 on, 7. Oh, looks like I split the yarn there. Let me do that last yarn over and pull through again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. 9. Close it with the chain. Add another chain so that they lean away from each other. Alright, and then we're going to go back into that same spot again. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times. We got 9 loops on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Pull loop through. Close it with a chain. Then we're going to do 3 front post double crochets here. 1. Hold it a little bit more slanted here. 2 and 3. And now we want that to be opened up all the way, so we're not going to put a chain in here or anything. We're going to do 2 double crochets in the last 2 stitches. There we go. I think that's row 8 or 9. Let's see. Insert there. There we go. There's the end of the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, there we go. Okay, now the next row is pretty easy. We're going to do that chainless standing double crochet again, and then a double crochet. So we will pull that up to the height of a double crochet, loop it around, insert your hook, pull through 2, pull through 2. I still feel like a wizard every time I do that. And a double crochet, and then we're going to do 3 back post double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do a puff stitch into the middle here, and this is just like we were doing previously. It's just into that big easy space, okay? So go ahead and do a V puff stitch in here 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Oops, almost lost it there. Close it with a chain, and another chain to pull them apart. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Alright, so up next we're going to have 6 more back post double crochets, another V puff stitch, 6 more back post double crochets, and then I'll meet you on the end. Alright, so I just did 6 back post double crochet, a V puff stitch into the middle here, then 6 more back post double crochet, and now we're to our single standalone puff stitch over here. So what we're going to do is skip over all of this, look for these 2 double crochet, and go into the top here and do a puff stitch. So 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times. Now from here on out, you should basically have everything that you need to know, but the repeat hasn't actually started yet. So I'll keep doing these next few rows with you, but there isn't any more tricks that should come up or surprises that'll happen in the pattern. So if you think you've got the concept by now, you might be able, you probably have everything that you need. And you can also consult my written pattern that's on the on my blog in the description. I will, however, keep going with you. So there we go, we're at the end of the row. Now, all right, let's get row 9 started. So we're over here, and we're already on the top of this section. So let's go ahead and do it. So chainless ending double crochet or chain 3, and then a double crochet, and then we're going to chain 1 to get that puff stitch to lean away. And we're going to go back into that same double crochet like we have been doing. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Close it with the chain. Oops. All right. And now we're going to go start it again. So we're going to do 6 back post double crochets, a V puff stitch here, 6 back post double crochets, another V post puff stitch, then 3 back, oh, I said back post, front post, sorry. 6 front post double crochet, V puff stitches, 6 front post double crochet, V puff stitches, 3 front post double crochets, and then 2 double crochets in the end. And I'll meet you at the other side. Okay, as I'm doing this, I'm starting to notice that I must be really tense because my tension is not coming out right. I'm not making my post stitches tall enough. So really make sure that you're pulling up on this so that it remains tall. Otherwise, you're going to get this weirdness that I'm getting right now, and it's just because I'm too tense. When I'm on camera, I'm always trying to do this before my kids, you know, destroy the house or something. So I tend to go too fast. So just take your time and make sure those post stitches are nice and tall. All right, and now we've got these last 2 double crochets on the edge. All right, so we finished off the wheat shaft. Let me know, do you like it when I put the time lapse in like I just did? All right. So if you are into blocking, this would be a great stitch to block, but you know, it's not necessary. If you work it out loose, you can see this is laying pretty flat. So you just gotta not be tense like I am right now. All right. Now we're going to be doing those transition rows again. So we're going to do those 2 rows of transition. All right, so let's get started on row 10. It's one of the transition rows, like I said. We're going to do a chainless standing double crochet and then a chain 1, and then a double crochet, sorry. And then what we're going to do is a chain 1 so that we can start to make this set of 3 cables here. We want them to start pulling this way, so we're going to chain 1 to space them out from this edge. So chain 1, and then 3 back post double crochets. I might have said the wrong word a second ago there. So 3 back posts, make sure they're nice and tall. And then the same as that first transition row before, whenever we get to the puff stitches, we're going to do chain 1, single crochet into the middle, then chain 1. And then we'll have 3 back post double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to chain 1 here so that these 2 sets of 3 start to separate. And then we'll do that whole thing again. So you'll do 3 more back post double crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, 3 more back post double crochet, chain 1 so they start to separate, 3 back post double crochet, and then I'll meet you for the end. Alright, so I just finished that off with 3 back post double crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, 3 back post double crochet, chain 1, 3 back post double crochet, and then what we're going to do right here is a chain 1. And to skip this whole business, And then we're going to do 2 double crochets into the end. All right. And that is going to help pull our little cables that way. Sorry, my kids are being very loud in the background today. All right, here we go on row 11, which is our second row of transition, I guess. So we're going to pull this up to do a chainless honey double crochet again. Oops, I missed the spot. There we go, right in there. And then we're going to do double crochet. And then we're going to do 3 front post double crochet. So just skip all of this and do 3 front posts. 1, 2, and 3. And then here we are at this open chain space. And what we're going to do here, just like before, is we're going to chain 1, single crochet, and chain 1. Then we're going to do 3 more front post double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then on top of this space, we're gonna just do a chain 1, and then you're gonna repeat that again. So you're gonna do 3 front post double crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, 3 front post double crochet, chain 1, 3 front post double crochet, and I'll meet you for the end of the row. All right. So I just did that repeat again, and then we're at the end of the row. We're going to do a chain 1 and then 2 double crochets in the end. And now we are back to the part of the pattern where we're going to be adding in those puff stitches. Now this row here that we're about to do, row 12, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, row 12. It's going to be the exact same thing as what we did for row 1, except this time we're not going to be using regular double crochets. We're going to be using post stitches. So we're almost to the point where the pattern repeats. So we always start our rows with a chainless knitting double crochet or a chain 3 and then another double crochet. And then we're going to do, just like in the beginning, we're going to do the first puff stitch into the same stitch here as this double crochet. 1, 2, oops. 2, 3, and 4. Close that up. Then we're going to do 6 back post double crochet, 6 back post double crochet, and I'll meet you for this puff stitch again. All right, so we've got those 6 back posts, and then I'm going to do that V puff stitch into this single crochet. Now when you're on the back side, it is a little bit easier to do that waistcoat thing I was talking about. So you're just going to grab it this way and then poke through the other end there like that, and make sure you didn't split the yarn or anything on the other side. So it looks like we're good. And let's do that V puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, oops, and 4. Stitch it all closed. Chain it to close it, put another chain in to separate those V's, go back into the same spot. 1, 2, 3, sorry about that, 4. Oh, gets tight. Alright, then close it off with the chain. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 6 more back post double crochet, the V puff stitch, then 3 back post double crochet, and end with 2 double crochets here on the end. All right, so I ended that with the 6 back post double crochet, the V puff stitch, 3 more back post double crochet, and then 2 double crochets. So that's the end of the row. And then you get to start the repeat. So at that point, we'll be starting the repeat from row 3. So you'll start with this row right here with row 3, and you should, if you crochet the same height I do, you should only need 2 more rows. But if you crochet a little bit different, just keep going until you get that desired height. And in the background here, you can see all of our squares. So I'm officially done with all of my tutorials on the squares, except I do have to go back and film the Harlequin. But my next video is going to be how to do the borders on these squares. So I'm hoping, I don't know 100% for sure if I'm going to be able to do it or not, But right now I'm hoping that I'm going to offer you a couple different choices. I'm looking for my thread sample. I don't know where it went. It was seriously just here. So I'm hoping to offer you a couple different choices on how you want to join your squares together. But here they all are, all the way from my first ever video on the post stitch, all the way to our wheat filled stitch. They're all good and done. There you go, all 488 of them. Holy moly, I wish I could find that stitch sample now. But I do have a video for the border. Here it is. I will have a video for the border coming out soon. So I'll teach you how to do this way. It's modified from something that Moogly does. It's called a tight braid that Tamara did. But this one, you know, the stitch counts are different. So it is different. And it's nice and tight. I didn't want to have anything too lacy or frilly. So it is a really nice tight one. And you can change the border every time as you go. So you can change the color, I mean. Each square will be done separately and then stitched together. So that'll be my next video. Thank you guys so much for listening, especially if you hung out all the way to the end. Please leave a like on the video so that YouTube knows you like my videos and they'll recommend them to more people. A very big thank you to Ashley and Gail from my Facebook group that have done so much work for me in the pattern testing stage of this, helping me with the written patterns. And a reminder that the written patterns are always available in the video description on my website. And I hope to see you guys all soon. May your stashes be plentiful. And if anybody asks where I am, just tell them she's stitching.